Hello world, Shelly here, and today I've got for you a Friday foundation fix where we check out a new foundation, and this is how you get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests, and it is foundation lovers season. All of the new releases are coming out. It is so exciting if you love foundation, and today we are going to check out the new Revlon Youth FX Fill and Blur Foundation, and bonus, the Youth FX Fill and Blur Concealer. So that is the plan for today. Now I'm also doing the new format here where I'm doing the intro with a bare face so as not to spoil what is coming. And if you like this format, let me know down below in the comments. If you would rather me do the old way where I have my full face on when I do the intro to give you kind of a sneak peek of what's coming, let me know that too, because I'm just trying to find out what works best for you guys, because I can obviously do it either way. So let's take a look at some of the claims that this foundation makes. Now, Revlon, I was able to find this at my local CVS. It took a little while to get to me. I know some people have already been able to get their hands on it, and I'm just happy that I got it. The Revlon website says that this is a lightweight, hydrating formula that works to fill in and blur lines and wrinkles with micro fillers and optical diffusers. As the appearance of lines and wrinkles are smoothed, this high coverage foundation erases the look of uneven tone, age spots, and hyperpigmentation, available in 12 shades. All of that sounds awesome. I've got some sunspots on this side of my face, the driving side of my face. I didn't wear sunscreen every day, and I used to have an hour-long commute to and from work every day, and I got some sunspots that I like to cover up, and I've got some fine lines and wrinkles. They specifically say, and they use the word wrinkles, it's going to fill and blur these things. The foundation on Ulta's website retails for $17.99 for 1 ounce of product. An $18 foundation, that is pushing the top end of drugstore pricing in my opinion. That is really pricey. I actually could have picked this up a week ago, and the price tag just kind of, I was like, no. So yeah, it's a little pricey. I decided to wait until they had a buy one, get one half off at CVS, and that's how I picked it up. Now, the concealer pretty much makes the same claims. So I've got the concealer here, and the claims it makes are lightweight hydrating formula, fills in and blurs lines and wrinkles with microfillers, optical diffusers, erases the appearance of dark circles with color correcting pigments to brighten skin around the eyes and dramatically transform the appearance of crow's feet. That is a super specific and awesome sounding claim. Now, this foundation comes in 6 different shades, and on Ulta's website, let's see, it retails for $13.99. So again, these are not cheap products, but for better or for worse, that's what we get. Okay, swatches. First up is today's foundation, the Revlon Youth FX. This is in shade 110 Ivory. I've got the concealer next to it just so you can see how different and darker that concealer in Fair is. Not even the same undertone, like, not so good. Next up is the L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Foundation. This is in shade 301 Classic Ivory. Then we've got the Infallible Pro Matte from L'Oreal in shade 101. Next up is the Maybelline Matte and Poreless, and this is in the shade 112 Neutral Ivory. And last up is the Covergirl Outlast Stay All Day, and this is in shade 805. Cameo by Daffy. So this is supposed to give us high coverage in this foundation. As usual, I am going to go in with a sponge. This is the Beauty Blender on one side and a brush on the other side. This is the Moda Prismatic series you can get at Walmart. It's super pretty and it's all holographic and, you know, pretty holographic. Yeah, I've compared brushes like this against the Artis Oval 7. I will link my review of the Lagour brush that you can get off Amazon, and I find them to be very comparable. So I like this Moda brush too, and I recommend it if you don't want to drop your hard-earned coin on an Artis brush, because you're dropping a whole lot of hard-earned coin on a drugstore foundation in this case. So now the packaging for this is a squeezy tube. It is no pump at all, so the only downside of that I feel is you can't really tell exactly how much product you're getting out, but let's see what this stuff looks like. Looks pretty thick to begin with. Yes, we are not dripping at all, so this is a fairly thick formula. I've got this in the shade Ivory, which appeared to be the lightest shade that they have available, and ooh, this is thick. Do you see how it's not moussey, it's creamy, but it's very thick. It's like very thick cake batter, it seems. Now, this also claims to be able to work well with primers and other products. I'm going to prime my face with the Urban Decay Urban Defense Primer. I have already cleansed and moisturized and sunscreened about 15 minutes ago. You generally, when you do your full-on sunscreen, especially this time of year, put your sunscreen on 10 or 15 minutes before you put on the rest of your face so that that sunscreen can kind of settle into the skin, and then you don't have to worry about that, and then it doesn't like move around with your foundation and makeup application. It's just, you know, just better. Let's do this. Now, they did not use the word full coverage, they used the word high coverage on this, and so I'm guessing we're looking somewhat toward full coverage. On one pass, I'd say we're at pretty light coverage. It's a little tough to blend out. You have to kind of work at it to get it to blend because it's not very, it doesn't thin out very easily, but I would say we are at a light coverage. It eventually did get blended out. Let's try the brush side. This feels really sort of pasty as you try to move it around. I think I got much better coverage with the brush, and I also feel like I'm getting much better blurring and filling of lines with the brush. Take a look at my smile lines and look how much more reduced the visibility of them is on this side. Do you see how it's kind of blurring it, especially at the top? Wow. The texture feels really weird to apply, but I like how it's looking. The color match seems good, which is surprising to get something light enough for me out of a drugstore foundation. Let's go in with another layer and see if this builds up very well. There's definitely some blurring going on. I think it is doing some blurring of pores. It's doing some filling and decentuation. Is that a word? I just made it up. Of lines. I like it so far. It's kind of a satin matte finish. It looks a little heavy. It feels a teeny bit heavy. I mean, I'd say it probably feels, I'm so used to wearing lightweight foundations now that it feels like probably an average weight foundation. It does still feel a little bit tacky. I am probably going to have to set this with a powder, but I think we are at a solid high medium coverage. I can barely see the worst of my sunspots poking through here. I think it looks pretty nice. A little heavy, but pretty nice. Let's go in with the concealer. It comes in 6 different shades. I've got it in the lightest, which is Fair. It's got a sort of fluffy, cushy tip to apply, and it looks like a pen. Clicky clicky. There we go. So product comes out the tip. All right. Woo! That's a lot of product. Holy cow. Definitely yellow toned. Definitely dark for being the lightest. Wholly yellow toned. Woo! That's yellow. Let's see here. So this is definitely not very brightening on me because it is darker than the foundation. You know, my dark circles aren't super bad right now because I've just started using the Ordinary's caffeine serum, and it has really done a good job to lighten up the purple, but I feel like I can still see it. So let's go in just a little bit more. I still feel pretty purple. This is supposed to have built-in color correctors, which is maybe why it's so orange tone. Maybe they were going for the apricot sort of orange to counter the purple. but it's kind of hard to use that as your only concealer because then you've got an orange tone under your eyes. Like, I feel like I can see that sort of tint of orange under my eyes, and that's not what I want to see. I don't feel like this concealer is helping to smooth anything out under my eyes. I feel like I can still see every little line. I don't think it's doing the same kind of fill and blur that it says it's going to be doing, that the foundation seems to do pretty well. I don't really see that happening under my eyes. So let me go put the rest of my face on. It is 12:37 p.m. So that is our check-in time. Let's just call it 12:40. Let's go with 12:40 and I will be right back. I forgot to zoom you guys in for the close-up before I put the rest of my face on, but that's okay. We can do it right now. And I think this foundation looks nice in terms of finish. It feels a little bit heavy. I'm having a little bit of trouble with hair getting stuck to my face. So even after setting it, I did set it with the Laura Geller Baked Balance and Brighten powder, and it still feels a little bit tacky. My under eye I set with the e.l.f. under eye setting powder, and I do feel like the concealer is creasing just a little bit into my deepest under eye line. It's settling into it and making that sort of crease of foundation gunk in that one particular, the line closest to my lower lash line. So, okay so far, a little bit heavy, nice finish. I had a little bit of trouble blending out over it. It creates a little bit of drag on the skin because it's kind of a tacky foundation, but I think, tell me if I'm wrong, I think everything blended out pretty well on top of it. It just took a little bit of more finesse than normal. So that is where we are at right now. On the rest of my face, my eyes are the Makeup Revolution Light and Shade palette, and I am also wearing the new Lash Paradise, the L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara, which is turning out to be pretty awesome. And on my lips, I've got Milani in number 61. Naked is the shade. L'Oreal Glam Bronze for my bronzer, Tarte Blush in Glisten, and that's about what we got going on. So I'm going to go about the rest of my day. I'm going to go to work, teach a class, and summer school is almost over. I will be back in a few hours with a daylight check-in, and then I'll come back at the end of the night and wrap up. Hey guys, daylight check-in here. It has been about 7 hours. It's almost 7:40, so it's a pretty late check-in in the day, but I wanted to get a look at the daylight color match, which is pretty doggone good, I think. If you are paler than me, it's going to probably be a little bit too dark, but not unworkable. And I do not think the color has oxidized at all. It's holding up pretty well, so I will be back in a few hours to wrap up. Hey, it is 10:43 p.m. and that puts us just past the 10-hour mark on this foundation. And I gotta say, right off the bat, it wears pretty doggone well. Now, when I saw the advertising for this foundation, they've got Gwen Stefani as their spokesmodel, and I love Gwen Stefani. I loved No Doubt in the 90s, and I love her today. She's 47 years old and looks amazing. Like, if I hit 47, I look older than her now, and I'm 42. So I really, if this is what she does to make the magic happen, and I think it really does hold up to some of its claims. In terms of how it has worn on me, one of the claims they had was that it'll blur lines and fill lines, and I really feel like it does that. Not so much blurring pores, it did okay with that, but the blurring of fine lines, especially my smile lines and my forehead lines, they are pretty well diminished. They're not invisible, you can tell I've got them, but they're very diminished, and I think that's really nice. The coverage, solid medium to high medium coverage. It did even out my tone. It did even out my sunspots, my hyperpigmentation. I think it lives up to a bunch of the claims that it makes. The shade range is Of course, I would like to see a larger shade range, but I do appreciate that it went far enough down on the light end of the spectrum for, I'm a pretty pale person. I'm not usually the palest of the pale, but I'm like second palest of the pale. So I think the shade range could be improved, but I did get a color match. It does not seem to have really oxidized at all, which I think is good. Those are the positives, I think, of this foundation. On the downside, it's kind of heavy. It feels kind of heavy. It remains a little bit, I don't want to use the word sticky because it's not that bad, but it's a little tacky throughout the day to the point that I live in a household with 4 cats. There are fuzzies all over the place, and multiple times today I had to pick fuzzies off my face because they were sticking. And it's not as bad as like the LA Girl Pro foundation that I had such a horrible time with it being so dramatically sticky that my hair was sticking to my face, and it's not that bad. But it's to the point where, like right now, I feel another one, and they itch, and it's annoying. So it's a little bit annoying in that way. It feels a little bit heavy. It's not a lightweight foundation. It starts to feel kind of heavy and sticky by the end of the day. Like I feel like my face is sticky. I just want to wash my face. And so that's kind of It really did not settle into lines. My chin line almost always gathers foundation, and it gathered a teeny tiny bit, but considering how heavy of a cream this foundation is and how liberally I had applied it to my face, I would say it doesn't settle into lines. I'm just going to say it doesn't. There's a teeny bit down here, but no, it's really good at not settling into lines. If I had to give this foundation a grade, I'm going to go solid B. I think it looks really nice. At the 10-hour mark, it still looks pretty phenomenally good. I just don't think it's very comfortable to wear. It's not horrible, but it is, if I had to give it grades for separate things, I feel like the appearance is like B plus A minus. It looks really nice, but comfort level is like C minus. So I'm going to go B, the solid middle ground there. I'd say it is above average if you can tolerate it being slightly uncomfortable. It really looks nice and it wears really well over time, and it really does blur some pores. The concealer, I'm not thrilled. I'm not really happy with the shade range. There's only 6 different shades, and the lightest is far darker than this foundation. This is the same company. This is the same line of product. Why would you make the lightest foundation lighter than your lightest concealer? You know what I'm saying? Your concealer is supposed to be brightening, so the concealer really needs to be 2 or 3 shades lighter than it is in order for it to be a shade or 2 brighter than this foundation. It's all from the same line, so I don't understand how they don't coordinate those things. So concealer, not too happy with the shade of it. Not very happy with the performance. I feel like my under eye, it's not very dry right now, so it didn't dry out my under eye, but I feel like it looks as wrinkly as it would any other day, and probably a little more wrinkly. They also mentioned that it blurs out crow's feet. It's making my crow's feet look worse. So I'm not super stoked on the concealer. I would go thumbs down on the concealer, thumbs up with a solid B on the foundation. So there you have it, my review of the Revlon Youth FX foundation and concealer. If you would like to see more foundation reviews or you liked this one, give me a thumbs up down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you click that little notification bell, it will notify you every time I post new videos at least twice a week. That is the plan. Thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye. Hey, it is 10... No. Hey, it is 10:40... Hey, it is 10:40... Son of a...